So when you won in '98, what was the whole like preparation, like the diet, the training, like what did I mean? I'm sure you just had to live it, breathe it. Like how intense was it? How long was the intensity like that? And how did it affect you mentally, physically, drain you? Things like that. What went into that?
You'll have to pull up my video. There was back then a VHS tape, and then it turned into a DVD, but now it's on YouTube, called The Secret of Beauty. And it was a day in the life of Monica Brant. And Mitsuru Okabe followed me around for a few days and captured everything. He was doing these reality movies or documentaries with all the men. I don't know. I might have been the only female he did one on.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's funny. It's actually on, but yeah, that was, then the magazines would do the day in a life stories. The magazines would do that as well. But, well, everything kind of like there was no real off season, right?
Right.
Off season, because number one, I wasn't a lifelong gymnast where if I took a lot of time off once I started doing the routines, if I took a lot of time off that, it was so hard to get that back.
Sure.
So I just had to stay in that all the time.
Right.
I had to stay training and doing that so that my timing, that my body stayed limber enough, that I stayed strong enough, that I stayed mentally strong enough. Because when you start, adding in all these different flips and layouts and Shushanovas and all these things, like you have to stay in that space. Maybe not to the extent where and then I was doing a lot of routines in guest appearances. So I had to stay in that all the time. But yeah, so for the 98 Olympia, after having competed, for a few years there at that level, was like, I remember somewhere in April, May of that year, just making a decision. I am not doing anything that doesn't go towards the Olympia. I am not going to allow someone to ask me to do something that's going to affect my time that I go to bed, when I wake up, what I need to eat. And I'm going to be very precise and detailed and protective.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to say, they use the word selfish. Oh, when you're bodybuilding, it's very selfish. Like, it's when you're doing it as a career, it means you will protect what you have to do in order to make your money and make your income. And it's not a selfish thing at that point. I think because that's your job, right? Like that's your job. But people like to say, oh, it's so selfish. Well, those are the people I think that didn't do it as a career. They were just having fun in their normal life doing, or they say fun, but then they're, they don't always have fun with it. But those are the people that didn't really understand how this was a full-time career, being this model, doing guest appearances, doing hours on end, signing autographs, and like all of it was part of your job, right? And having this spokesperson, things that the companies expected you to look a certain way. And that was the job. Like that was the job description that I got paid for. And there was no one to take my place if I got sick or injured or too tired. Like, no, I had to show up, smile on my face, looking the way I need to look, and presenting myself the way, Robert Kennedy with Muscle Mag, he would hire us girls to come and do guest appearances at the Muscle Mag stores all around the country and in Canada. He would take us to different countries sometimes to do photo shoots. Like he was doing those things and he would pay us, as well as we would then get the marketing for whatever. And then, he would end up doing stuff for us in the magazines where we could actually make some extra money selling our autographs. So, it was a career, and it was it was my livelihood. So it definitely, I never felt like it was a selfish thing. I felt like this is a thing that if I don't do this, I can't be who I need to be for stage, and I can't get to where I need to get if I don't go to bed on time, if I don't get up on time. And, there was a whole, all the different training that had to get done, all the food, the prep. So I definitely started, I remember my mindset that year was right around And I also, the other thing is was dating a guy that I needed to not date. And I remember breaking off the relationship and like, no guys, I'm done. This is me and what I need to do.
Yeah.
And this is my career and I need to be specific. And that was that year. It was, the thing is, I had so much support too, though. Like, just the people at the gym, because it wasn't like I was moody or grumpy I still go in and visit with people and have fun in that space where I could. And, it's like, so people were so supportive of what I was doing and wanted to help. And, and then you still had the magazine support. It was very special timing back then. But yeah, it was definitely majority of that year for that particular.
And when I say you, I don't mean you, but you lose me with the jealous or the selfish thing. Like you just that mentality, you just lose me. Like I shut off. Like I don't get that. That's like such a weak-minded mentality and concept, and it's just wrong. Like you make sacrifices to get what you want in life, or you stay mediocre and you don't get anywhere. Which fine, do whatever whatever you want, but don't tell somebody they're selfish for being successful or doing what they got to do to be successful. That's not selfish. You're making sacrifices that are hard on yourself, and you're sacrificing time. You're sacrificing some sort of happiness, even with how you're eating, and you're sacrificing a lot. I mean, I live it. My wife sacrifices a ton having to deal with the way I eat every day, and like with me, and that's part of life. To have what you want, you have to sacrifice, and you have to do,
or at least to try, right? At least to, because it's a subjective thing. It's not like, okay, I like with track, when I compete in track, like I can still make a PR and still feel like I won, even if I didn't win, right? Because I did a PR.
Yeah.
But with any of these subjective events, you just have to go out there and know that you didn't leave any stone unturned.
Right. I know.
And when that clock rolled around at 8:30, I better be like pretty close to going to bed at, making sure I'm in bed, because I was getting up at 4:30 and having to, get my food in and then going to do some training in one location and then going out to gymnastics. So it was definitely. Then I was running at the track with a conditioning coach out there as well. So, and then I was in the gym training. So you have to keep.
Yeah.
I remember I was getting massaged, hour and a half massages twice a week during all of that, because you had to keep your body able to function.